Hi everyone, I am going insane in lockdown 2.0 due to the fact that because of lockdown 2.0 I have recently been made unemployed, so I'm really bored. Also I'm in a really manic mood today because my anti-anxiety meds are sending me off the rails. So I'm in a really weird mood. So I'm going to make anyone who wants to watch a video about life on Mars appropriately to call this video Life on Mars. I'm not even comfortable, I'm not even in shot. Life on Mars. It's a brilliant show. It was a BBC drama starring John Sim. It came out some time ago. Let's Google it and find out. 2006. First episode, 9th of January 2006. Went on for about a year with 2 series. Final episode date, April 2007. That's only a year. We had 2 series. Mad. Written by a bunch of people with a spin-off show, Ashes to Ashes, which hopefully I'll make another video about. This is going to be part of the series I started literally 4 weeks ago. Surviving on Art. Yes, that is what I called it. I made it 4 weeks ago. I made my top 5 Doctor 2 episodes, which was controversial. I'm looking at you, Henry. It is quite episodic in how it's made, but I'd rather go on a big rant about it and the series, or the 2 series as a whole, because I think it's wholly a concept, and it's also not a lot of people have actually seen it, even though it is an incredible show, and it's all on BBC iPlayer. It's been all on BBC iPlayer since last year, which is when I first actually watched it, and it's on Netflix, so it's not like you don't have, it's not like you have an excuse to not watch it. It's literally there for the taking, so do it. So the first time I ever came into contact with a bit of Life on Mars stuff was actually 4 years ago when I was doing my media. 4 years ago when I was doing my media A-level, and it was literally we looked at the intro of the first episode in one of, I think, my first media A-level lesson, because the teacher was like, oh, this is such a good intro and a good thing to analyse, so we're going to analyse it and talk about it, and she was a really big fan of the show. At that time I didn't watch it because it wasn't on anything, and I kind of forgot, it slipped out of my mind, but obviously being a big Doctor Who fan and a big actors fan, I noticed John Sim and I was like, oh, he's in that, that's pretty funky. And then years later it pops up on BBC iPlayer and I think, oh, I'm gonna watch that. I can't remember when it was. It must have been a year and a half ago. I watched it. It's brilliant. Fell in love with it. Basically the concept of the show, and this isn't a spoiler, so just don't worry about it. The concept of the show is that our man John Sim, he's a regular, everyday, 2006, 21st century detective from Manchester. And he's on a case. While he's on that case, his then girlfriend goes missing. This is all in the first 5 seconds. And then he gets into basically a car accident. The result of that car accident means that he has gone back to the 1970s and is now a detective in Manchester in the 1970s. But he's not the detective chief inspector, the DCI as it were. He is the detective chief superintendent? I don't know. There's a DCI, something underneath, and then a DC, which is a detective constable. He's the one in between. And I cannot actually remember. So he answers to DCI Hunt, who is the other player, who is played by a brilliant actor who I cannot remember the name of. Philip Glinster, who plays DCI Hunt, who is also an amazing character, so entertaining, so brilliant. And in the first episode he finds himself being able to solve the case and reveal some of the mysteries of where he is and why he is where he is through solving the case. And as the series goes on, because it's set in the same town where he grew up, and it's in the year, and his younger self exists in this world. You find mysteries about his past, stuff that's going on, so he learns more about himself, and through learning more things about himself, he learns why he's in the world, why he's in the 1970s, and how he can get out of it. So that's the basic premise of the show, which is pretty random and pretty wacky, because essentially it is just a police crime show, and it's pretty wacky and it's pretty funny, and sometimes it can be quite campy, but at the same time there is this sci-fi element to it and this mystery thriller element to it, which is snuck in there, and it's a show where I don't think that's very common in a lot of dramas at all, not really. So it's a very unique piece of drama, and I'm pretty sure there was news came out maybe in March, it could have been earlier or later, I don't know, of this year, that said they were going to make a series 3 of Life on Mars. And also it is quite a huge pastiche I think, to the 1970s in the style that it was made, how you like look at things and what it says about policing at that time and comparing it to now. Genuinely a brilliant ensemble cast. As before I said, it's got John Sim, Philip Glinster, it's also got Liz White, Dean Andrews, Marshall Lancaster, who is brilliant, who all make up this amazing cast of detectives and police people. It's got this group of detectives who you could argue are quite like archetypal characters, but at the same time they have their own stories and their own backgrounds and their flaws and their arcs, and those are explored even more in the Ashes to Ashes spin-off series, which is again amazing, which I will talk about later. Keeley Hawes is my queen, and she is gorgeous in Ashes to Ashes. I will always love her. Also, like, a fun thing for me watching the show is, like, obviously I wasn't alive in the 1970s, and I was barely alive in 2006, if anything, so I don't really remember a time. I can't remember when they brought like the whole no smoking in buildings law in. I know it was in my lifetime, but it was when I was very young. So when you see like how it is in the 1970s in that show, where it's just so real with like police smoking in buildings, paper documents, not recording police interviews, it's just so interesting, and the fact that you see that from the 21st century viewpoint because of John's character. It's just quite funny, and the ending I think is a good twist. You don't find out like the exact truth of what's going on in that ending. The way that it reveals everything and why stuff is going on, you don't exactly trust the truth of what the show brings you. A lot of people have their own theories. I've certainly got my own theories, and even Ashes to Ashes doesn't fully give a full explanation of who the exact characters are. The overall storyline is just brilliant. Each episode they focus on a different criminal that they're going to take down. It also has a really huge personal touch. Often you'll find in some of the episodes, Sam, that's John Sim's character name, it's Sam. Often you'll find that the criminals or the cases have quite a personal link to Sam, and they'll give you clues about either Sam's personal life or Sam's personal life will give you clues about the cases, and you can always put those dots together, and it's one of those ones where you can really enjoy yourself in the theories of the situation. So I think I'm going to end the video there because that's my rant over. I don't know how much information about Life on Mars I've been able to give, and if I have convinced you to watch it. That's my love of the show, and it's one that I've rewatched a few times during 2020, which loads of artists contributed to. There's about 5 or 6 writers on that show. Obviously all of the amazing, beautiful cast. So support the arts, save the arts, because that's where it all comes from. These amazing pieces of visual work and media, entertainment, art, whatever you want to call it, comes from the same people in the same place who need your help. So save the arts. Don't know how, at least spread the hashtag. Have a brilliant day. Watch the show again on Netflix. I'm pretty sure it's still on BBC iPlayer. And that's all I got for you today. Surviving art. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And just have fun. That's all I got for you kids.